welcome again to my channel. This is the part 2 of the IMAT past paper 2021-2022 for the actually the biology section of this year. Okay, I have discussed half of the questions in my previous video. You can see that video and then come to this video for the second part. So let's start this video without wasting any time. The graph below shows the change in blood cell count of human over time. So this is number of blood cells per milliliter of blood and time. Let's draw the question. Which of the following could explain the shape of the above graph? If we see this graph thoroughly, it's showing that the number of blood cells are constant, and then there is a race in the number of blood cells. Okay, so now cells are increasing over time. So we have to look for the options which result in the increase of blood cells, any of the blood cells, whether it's RBC or WBC or any of the or platelets and something else. So which of the following could explain the shape of the above graph? The reduction in concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere, yes, it can cause the increase in RBCs. Option number 2, a response to bacterial infection. Yes, in response to bacterial infection, WBCs will increase rapidly in response to this defense mechanism, right? So, option number 3, increased differentiation of bone marrow stem cells. Yep, all the blood cells are formed from the bone marrow, and if its differentiation is increasing for any reason, for any case, of course, the number of blood cells will be increasing, right? So, option number 3 is right. So we have to look for the option which contain 1, 2, and 3, which is D, so it is the right option. So there is nothing to do, it's all theory. There's 3 fatty acids with formula this, react with glycerol with formula this to form triglyceride, which of the following is the correct formula of triglyceride? Okay, this is a very easy question, but most of the students get it wrong. I will tell you, I'll tell you the right answer as well, I'll tell you how, okay? Okay. For this, most of the students go for this option. Why? Because they are telling that 3 fatty acids of this formula react with 1 glyceride. What students do is count all the hydrogens, like multiply this one with 3, count add them with this, and then they get to the conclusion. You can calculate this. It will be 27 carbons in total, 56 hydrogen and 9 oxygen. So they select this option and they get it wrong because this option is not right. Why? Because if you have studied this reaction, the formation of fatty acids, the reaction of fatty acid and glycerol, you will know that whenever one fatty acid reacts with glycerol, they release one water molecule. Okay, they always release one water molecule. And here, as 3 fatty acids are reacting, so the reaction must release 3 water molecules, right? It will be in 3 steps, 3 different steps, and it will release 1 water molecule in every step. So a total of 3 water molecules. 3 water molecules means total of 6 hydrogen and 3 oxygen. Okay, total of 6 hydrogens and 3 oxygens will be released and will not be the part of this triglyceride. So even if the total hydrogen molecules are 56 and even if the total nitrogen oxygen molecule is 9, you have to subtract this thing, and this will lead to the right answer. So if we subtract 6 hydrogen and 3 oxygen from this, this will be option number D, which is 50 hydrogen and 6 oxygen, and which is the correct answer. So cell containing 4 pairs of homologous chromosomes divide by meiosis. Which row shows the cell produced and the number of chromosomes that they contain? Okay, this is the uh, Okay, for first of all, you have to go with a cell for four pairs of homologous chromosomes. Four pairs means total of eight chromosomes. Here they are telling that the number written inside is the number of chromosomes, not the pair of chromosomes. So you have to go with eight chromosomes. So these two options are already rejected, right? We have to look to these three options, the remaining three options. So first is we know that if you have studied meiosis, you will know that in the meiosis 1, the number of chromosomes reduced to half, and in the meiosis 2, which is a simple mitotic type of reaction, the number of chromosomes remain the same as before in the end of meiosis 1, right? So it means that, yep, in this case, it is 8. In the end of meiosis 1, it's reduced to half, that is 4 and 4. And in the end of meiosis 2, it's reduced to like, it's remains same. And we have 4 daughter cells with 4 chromosomes. So this option is 110% correct. Here, it's row number 3, which is C, and this is the correct answer. So let's go next. The sequence of base in part of DNA strand is this. Okay. The strand of messenger RNA is transcribed using the a sequence of base. Which of the following chart shows the correct proportion of base in messenger RNA? Okay. There are many ways to solve this question. Okay, what most of the students do is they just start counting all the T and A and C and G, and then consider them to be, see their proportion and all, and then go to the answer. This can lead you to the right answer, okay? But it's the long way, and you don't have that much time in IMAT, right? So I will tell you the shortest way. First of all, as it is talking about messenger RNA, and we know that RNA don't contain thymine. It has uracil instead of thymine, right? So all the graphs or all the options which contain thymine are 110% wrong. This one is wrong because it has thymine. This one is wrong as well because it's thymine. So these three options are wrong, 110% wrong. Okay, because they have thymine. We are left with only two options, and we can just count any one of the base here. If I consider T, so I know that in messenger RNA there will be adenine instead of every thymine. Okay, in complementary to every thymine. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 T. It means the messenger RNA will have 6A, and if I count the base complementary to that, which is uracil, which will go in before every adenine. So adenine is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will have 6 uracils as well, right? So we know that in our messenger RNA, adenine and uracil will be in equal proportion. So in these two situations, there is only one option which has adenine and uracil in equal proportion. So option C is the correct answer, 110%. So next question. The diagram represents the animal cell with 5 organelles P, Q, R, S, and T. Which row correctly matches the label with the name and function of cell organelles? Okay. So these are all the labels. And okay, for this situation, you can just go for each and every option. Again, it can be done. It can lead to the right answer to go for every option and just see that, oh, it's P, no, it's not mitochondria, and then move to the next question. But examiner give you this type of questions to waste your time. Because most of the students get it right, but they waste a lot of time in these questions, and they are not left with any time for problem solving, any time for maths and physics questions. Okay, so this makes a difference between the students because it's a competitive test, and everyone, like 95% of students knows each and every answer, each and every concept, but the one who wins complete their question within complete their papers within time management and everything. So you should be able to manage questions within time. Okay. For question, I recommend you that instead of going to the diagram again and again and wasting your time, first see the options in which option the name of organelle like matches the function as well, because even if one of these things are wrong, the option is absolutely going to be wrong. So we can just consider those options whose organelles and functions really matches, and out of them we can just see that if this label in the diagram is that organelle or not. Okay, so it will save us a lot of time. We can just eliminate the wrong answer. Again, this will be elimination rather than going to the right answer, right? So, name the of cell organelles is mitochondrion, and function is protein synthesis. We know that protein synthesis is done by ribosomes and not mitochondrion. So this option is eliminated without seeing the diagram. Okay, second is centriole holds sister chromatids together. Centriole doesn't hold sister chromatids together. Next is ribosome, formation of lysosomes. Again, no ribosome, function of ribosome is protein synthesis, not the formation of lysosome or something, right? So this option is all is eliminated as well. Then second is Golgi apparatus and aerobic respiration. No, Golgi apparatus doesn't do anaerobic respiration. It's not its function. This option is also eliminated. Now we are left with only one option, and we are 100% sure that it is gonna be our answer because nothing else is remaining. But still, we can see that it's nucleolus, and its function is to formation of ribosomal subunits. Yeah, this is the function of nucleolus. We can just confirm it from the diagram as well. If the label T is nucleolus or something else, because sometimes the option can be none, right? So we should consider them as well. Don't just go for the answer based on elimination, because sometimes two or three options can be correct. Sometimes none of can be correct. Okay, so T is yes, it's nucleolus. So it's the second last option is correct, which is raw number one. The diagram shows the relationship between the features of two substances involved in digestion, bile and amylase. Okay. Which of the following row is correct for X, Y, and Z? First, you need to observe this diagram they have given, and according to them, we will answer. Okay. Here, if we talk about X, so we can understand that for X, the examiner is asking something which is only valid for bile. Okay. And for Z, he is asking something which is valid for amylase. And for Y, we have to see something which is valid for both, which is common for both and bile and amylase. Okay, so uh, let's start from seeing row number one. Row number one says bile assimilates lipid. It's theory. If you know that, if you have read about digestive system and bile, you'll know that bile actually breaks up lipids or emulsifies lipids, we can say. Okay. So we can just go to the options which says emulsifies lipid or breaks up lipids or something like that, something meaning that. Okay, so in this way we can just eliminate row 1, row 2, row 3 even without seeing y and z, because it will waste our time. We know that x is wrong, so it will be a waste of time if we see all the options and everywhere. We can just eliminate the first three rows directly. Okay, so we are only left with row number 4 and 5, which says emulsifies liquid. So we can go for Y, which is according to diagram, which will be common for both bile and amylase. Okay, so row number 4 says is produced by the pancreas. Yeah, these both are produced in the pancreas. Amylase is produced in pancreas, and it's present in saliva as well. But yeah, it's produced by pancreas, right? So, and row 5 says works in small intestine. This is also correct because both of them work in small intestine, right? So now for amylase, it says it digests maltose. And row number 5 says it digests starch. So if you have read about it, you must know that maltose is digested by enzyme called maltase, not amylase. Amylase digests starch. So in this way, round number 5 is correct, which is option number A, which is the correct answer. Okay. So let's go to next question, which is question number 35. Organs or tissue transplant normally require only that a donor antigen must be closely matched to those of the recipient. Which of one of the following type of transplant can typically be carried out without the need for a match between donor and the recipient? Okay. First, you must note for the donor's antigen here means the blood antigen or blood type and other conditions as well, but here they are talking about blood type or something. Okay. So, th- uh, this answer is cornea. I'll tell you why. But first, you need to get up with the concept that the cornea in our body is the only organ which doesn't have any blood vessel in it. The cornea exchange oxygen and nutrients directly from oxygen directly from the air and uh, food, nutrients from a substance which is around it. You'll see if we get any question like that as well. But the examiner in IMAT used this concept in different ways, in different questions. You'll see in different past papers that he has used this concept many times. But in this, we know that cornea doesn't have blood vessels and doesn't differ in antigens, of course, because it doesn't have blood vessels, so it doesn't require uh, the donor antigens to be met. So next question is, the SRY gene is commonly the SRY gene is normally located in human Y chromosome. This gene initiates the development of male characteristics. Okay, using this information, which of the following statement about SRY gene is or are correct? Let's see the options. Insertion of SRY gene into an X chromosome of female zygote can give it male characteristics. Now, this is what our first statement, if you understand the first statement clearly, what they actually told about SRY gene, you should actually know this as well from your theory. But in this case, they have told you this. Okay, so they have told you that SRY gene, uh, it initiates the development of male characteristics. It is present normally on Y chromosome, but this statement says if we insert artificially SRY gene into X chromosome, will the female uh, have the male characteristics or not? Yes, she can have because SRY gene develops this. Okay, so in this way, statement number 1 is true. Statement number 2, the sperm cell arising from incorrect cell division with functional SRY gene could give rise to female with sex chromosome trisomy following fertilization with the normal ova. Chromosome trisomy. This is the condition of Klinefelter syndrome, which is XXY, in which the person get an extra X chromosome. Okay. In some cases it is XXX, but how can I know that it would be XXY? Because he's saying that sperm cell arising from division has functional SRY gene. So it must have one Y chromosome with XXY, which is Klinefelter syndrome, which is not present in male. Which is not present in female. It's a male disease. Disease in male babies, right? So this statement will be wrong because of this one word of male or of female. A third option, during meiosis, crossing over could result in the formation of X sperm with SRY gene, which could cause male characteristics after fertilization. It's same as statement number 1, but in statement number 1, they are just saying that we are inserting SRY gene in Y chromosome. They mean that it's artificially done. And in this case, it's the same situation which is naturally done due to some mistake or some problem in meiosis in which X and Y chromosome are crossing over. In normal meiosis, X and Y chromosome never cross over. Crossing over is actually possible for all chromosomes, all homologous chromosomes except for X and Y, until and unless there is some mistake or inaccuracy in the meiosis. Okay, so if it the crossing over is happening as a statement is saying, the next sperm has got SRY gene, so it could cause male characteristic after fertilization. Yes, it could. We get to know that our correct options are 1 and 3, which is option number B in here. Very easy. Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next, question number 37. The diagram shows a cross section of a through an human eye. Some part of the eyes are labeled 1 to 5 with notes. Okay, which one of the following note is correct? So in this we have to just read all. We should able to recognize the structure as well. So maybe in some cases they may label the diagram wrongly. In some cases they will tell you the functions wrong. Okay, so let's start reading from point number 1. The retina containing motor neurons. Okay, this is retina, and retina does contain neurons, but still this statement is wrong because retina do not contain motor neurons. Most of the time, retina has sensory neurons. At this point, I want you to stop the video and think about it. Why does retina contain sensory neuron? Why am not saying that it contains motor neurons as well, or both type of neurons? I'm saying that most of the neurons in it are sensory neurons. Why? So, if you have read about the retina, or if you have even think about it, it's a concept, a basic concept that in eye we need more sensory neurons than motor neurons because from here we need to transfer the sensory information, the sight, the light from eye to the brain, right? We need to give the information to the brain. So for that, the neurons which like give the information, take the information from an organ and give it to the brain are of course sensory neurons, not the motor neurons. There are some motor neurons present, but most of them are sensory. Okay, so let's go next to the point number 2. This is wrong. If it were to be evaluating the retina containing neurons, all type of neurons, it would be right. But here they have actually mentioned motor neurons separately, so it would be wrong. Okay, so number 2, area containing mostly rods for color vision. This is the point which we call yellow spot actually, which is directly on perpendicular to this part. Okay, so yeah, this is the area which is for color vision, but still this option is wrong because this area don't contain rods, but it contain mostly cones. Okay, it contain more cones than rods. That's why it has color vision. Even if you don't know that about yellow spot and you haven't read it anywhere, but you even know that you should know that the rods are famous for dark vision and cones, the function of cones is for color vision. So this point is wrong in that way as well because rods don't give color vision. And if this area is for color vision, if you haven't read that, but the statement is saying that this area is for color vision, and at the same time it's saying that it has mostly rods, so it's obviously wrong. Number 3, which cell pupil closes to reduce light entering the eye in the dark. Light entering the eye in the dark. Why would people close in the dark to reduce the light entering? In the dark, even the eye needs some light to enter it. It start focusing, right? So this statement is obviously wrong. Next, statement number 4, which says glucose in the aqueous humor diffuse into the cornea. This is cornea. Okay, and there is a liquid here which is called aqueous humor, which actually helps in the exchange of gases from here. As I have told you in the previous questions, that the cornea is only part of the body which don't contain any blood vessels, so the exchange directly take place from the air the oxygen carbon dioxide. Moreover, it has some glucose and every substance as well, which this statement seems to be right. But still, we need to read other statements as well. Statement number 5 says cornea adjusts the reflection of light for fine focusing. No, cornea don't. For light focusing, the thing which work is pupil. Pupil size reduce or pupil size increase. Okay, it has nothing to do with cornea. Cornea is only the outer layer. So this statement is wrong as well. So the only statement right is statement number 4, which is note number 4, which is option number D. We get the right answer. Let's move to the next. Directional selection, you should know that from the three types of selection, directional selection is the one in which the individuals with the extreme traits or with the extreme phenotypes are selected over the individuals with the average traits, due to which the graph is shifted, right? If you have studied that, you may know that there is a shifting graph to one extreme side like this. Huh? So, for these type of questions, you must know that the selections, any of the three types of selection methods, when there is a change in hiding fingers, including equilibrium, whenever there is a change in hiding fingers and equilibrium, the sections will occur and the graph will shift. Okay, so we need to find the reasons in which there is a shift in hiding finger equilibrium. So, low frequency phenotype is selected. Yes, it can be the cause of predator can be the cause. Yes, the frequency of recessive allele increases. Yes, so these three the in this way we came to know that row number 5 is correct, which is option number D. It is a theoretical question. If you know the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, if you know the types of selection, you will easily solve this question. So without wasting any time, let's move to the next question. Question. Which one of the following statement is correct about cardiac cycle of healthy human? For this type of questions, for cardiac cycle, questions are very easy. Most of the time, the examiner do is what the examiner do is confuse you in his words. Okay. Otherwise, everyone know what the cardiac cycle and how it moves and ventricle and arterial contraction relaxation. They know this is known by everyone, but still students get it wrong because of these words and because of lack of time. They misunderstand the statement, and that's why they got this type of statements wrong. So what you have to do for the statement is memorize these 2 or 3 things I am telling you. Okay, this will help to you to do these questions right within no time. Okay, so you should keep the first thing you should keep in mind is whenever the ventricles are contracting. Okay, the of course we all know that all the both of the ventricles contract at the same time. Both of the atrium contract at the same time, right? So whenever the ventricles are contracting, the atrium must be relaxing. Must be relaxing. Okay, and the vice versa is also true. Whenever the atrium is contracting, the ventriculars must be relaxing. Okay, we all know that, right? But this thing should be in your mind all the time whenever you are doing questions like that, because this will help you to do it in less time. And second thing you should keep in your mind is whenever the ventricles are relaxing, all the valves relating to the ventricles, which actually gives the blood to the ventricles, must be open. And the same for the atrium. Whenever the atrium is relaxing, all the valves which are giving blood to the atrium must be open, and all the others will be closed. Okay, easy. So let's see how these things can help us. Okay, for the first, when the left ventricle relaxes, the aortic valve closes. So when the left ventricle relaxes, so it means the atrium must be contracted because student confused in this situation because ventricle has nothing to do with aorta. So this is how the examiner confused the student, right? So we know that if the aorta, all we know that if the ventricle is relaxing, it means the atrium must be contracting. If the atrium is contracting, so it means the all the valves which are were actually giving the blood to atrium must be closed, right? So this situation, this statement seems to be correct. But we can just mark it and see the other options as well. You must see all the options in these type of questions because sometimes the second option would be the better one, and you will notice that maybe you were doing some mistake in understanding the statement, right? So other option was when the right ventricle contracts, the right atrioventricular was open. Right ventricular contracts, it means ventricles are contracted, and the right atrioventricular valve open. Atrioventricular valve was the valve which was passing the blood from atrium to ventricle, right? So this, we can say that this was the valve which was giving blood to the ventricle, and if the ventricle is contracting, it must be closed. It must be closed. So this statement is wrong. Okay. Then option number C says when the right atrium contracts, the aortic was open. This right and left is only for confusing the students. We all know that if the right ventricle is contracting, left will also be contracting at the same time. If the left atrium is contracting, right will also be contracting at the same time. So we only say that atriums are contracting, the aorta walls will be open. Again, if the atrium is contracting and the aortic wall, which was giving blood to the atrium, can't be open, it must be closed. It must be closed. So this statement is wrong. Then statement number D says the when right atrioventricular valve closes, the left atrioventricular valve open. This is wrong because if one of the valve is opening, it means that ventriculars must be relaxing, right? Because when the ventricles it gives blood to ventricles and it's opening means it must be relaxing, and both the ventricles relax at the same time, so both of the valves should always open at the same time. So this statement is wrong as well. When the and the next statement says when the right atrium contracts, the left ventricle contracts as well. Right atrium is contracting, it means it's atrium contraction is going on, and whenever the atrium contract or atrium systole is happening, both of the ventricle must be relaxing. So this statement is obviously wrong. This is there is nothing to think on it and give it our time to it. So statement number one is 110% correct. Okay, so let's move to next question. Which of the following cell structure contain biological catalysts? They have used the word biological catalyst instead of enzyme. We all know that enzymes are biological catalysts, right? So, number one is the cytoplasm, number two is nucleus, number three is mitochondria. Cytoplasm does contain enzymes for different reactions going into the cytoplasm. And okay, then number two, for nucleus, there are many enzymes which helps in transcription in the nucleus. So, uh, statement number two is correct as well. And in mitochondria, whoever have respiration, uh, cellular respiration, basically, they all know that there are many enzymes in the mitochondrial matrix which helps in these reactions, respiration, and all. So all of the three of them does contain enzymes. So finally, we have completed the whole academic year of IMAT, which is 2021 and 2022. Okay, if you have any confusion, just drop it in the comment. I will try my best to answer your question. If any point which was not clear, you can always see that video again, or you can ask me in the comments, of course. and subscribe my channel. If you like this video, just hit the bell icon and like button. And see you in the next videos. Bye bye and take care.